Welcome, everyone. We are live. Listen, it is Monday. Monday. I had to double check because I was like, what day of the week is it? Because all day Friday, I kept thinking it was Saturday. And I was like, what day of the week is it? Um, because it felt like Saturday. Remember, if you ever read Neville Goddard and he says that days have a feeling to them. They do. Saturday has a feeling. Shoot, Monday has a feeling, right? It's not that Monday has a feeling because it has a feeling, but it has a feeling because of what we associate Mondays with, right? So it feels a particular way. But today is a new day. Why is it a new day? The whole cycle starts again. We turn to face the sun. So it is new. And because it is a new day, you have to have a new attitude that goes with the day. Or else you wake up with a new day and it's the same you, right? And so, what do you do? Because this is the question. It's like, listen, yesterday I had the privilege of hanging out with some lovely ladies. And it was amazing because their questions, their comments, and she said to me, she goes, oh, that is such new information, but it can feel a little overwhelming, but I understand what you're saying. It's a new day for me. And I was like, it is, isn't it? It really is. So this is why when we rise in the mornings, right? When we rise in the morning, let your attitude, and remember, you never have to force your attitude or force your mood, because naturally we seek to feel better naturally. So you just naturally allow yourself to feel better. Naturally. You don't have to chase it, force it, nothing. We naturally seek to feel better. We truly do. But it is us who will sometimes hold ourselves in this suspended animation. That's what we tend to do, hold ourselves unnaturally. Well, at least we try to. Everything moves, nothing stands still. See? So allow yourself, even if you say, oh, man, I feel so crummy, blah, blah, blah. You know, you will want to laugh at something for real. I kid you not. And sometimes you'll see that thing that's totally funny and you'll be like, no, I'm not going to laugh because I feel like crap. Listen, you might as well go ahead and laugh. Because when you do that, when you disrupt, Miss Tori always says, disrupt the cycle. When you disrupt it from your old pattern, you are creating your new day, your new way of being. And that's the best part. But here's the thing. You don't just stop once. You do it over and 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 over until it becomes the new you. We are practicing every single day the new way that we want to be, or we are rehearsing the old way that we are. And I know sometimes it seems daunting. Sometimes it feels like, oh my God, is it ever going to change? I know that sometimes it feels like that. I know that it can feel like that. But the thing to remember is this: it will not stay dark. Even though, listen, even though you're in the Arctic in the winter and it is dark 24/7, that's different from true darkness. That's just the way the sun is positioned, or should I say, that's just the way we've turned. But it always lightens. It just will. So your job and my job is not to push and try and force it. Our job is to allow. You know, I stood in the kitchen yesterday and I looked at my ivy, and this bad boy is running up the wall like it has attached itself to the wall with sap. So it's stuck to the wall. And it is almost at the ceiling now. And I looked at it and I said, wow, I don't have to do anything. I just let you do what you're doing. I just let you do what you're doing. And I thought, but isn't that just like living? We just, we, we're just along for the ride. Life happens. We are along for the ride. But even though life happens and we're along for the ride, when you know the principles, you can apply them. You can apply them. And when you apply the principles, you can harness. You can harness the power and the life that is all around you. That's what we get to do. And as I was meeting with her, it's so cool because she was reminiscing about how her and I had met. And we had a really good laugh. And she says, you know, Angela, I felt you that day. And it's true. I met her and we just clicked, you know? And there was just something about her that was just so cool to me. And she works in palliative care, you know? And she was telling me about a man who spent most of his time being atheist. Hmm. And she said, before he passed, he would always tell his wife, pray with me. You see, it is never about, this is what makes it a new day, right? It's never about whether we want to say, well, I believe in God, or I believe in that God, or I believe in this God. Grasp what I'm saying to you today. There is an acknowledgement that there is something. That's what we do, you know. But because humanity, we are so funny. We're strange sometimes, humans. We want to be right. So you've got this sect over here wanting their God to be the right one, that one over there wanting their God to be the right one, this one over here wanting their God to be the right one, that one over there wanting their God to be the right one. But all the while, everybody's eyes are open but closed. You're open to the fact that you know there is something, but you're closed to the fact that you all see the same thing. We all see the same thing, that there is something else. And because we have names as people, because I can't say, hey, you there. We have names, personalities. Well, we want to give what we now know, we want to give it a name and a personality as well. And because I named it, well, then I am the one who gets to control how everybody else sees it. No, you cannot. You see, here's the thing. To name the nameless, whew, to name the nameless, wow, that's a task, isn't it? Can't name it because it's so vast. It is truly vast. And here's the beauty, right? Then you acknowledge that it is there. Now you are encompassed by that vastness. And you begin to recognize that, well, I can't even just reduce it to a name. That's a new day when you start recognizing the beauty of what surrounds us. Yeah, that's all fine and good, Angela, but how do I apply that to my life and change? How do I pay my bills, man? I'm all fine and good for that. Ooey gooey goodness, but let's be practical. Step one. What do you want to be in your life? Well, when you talk about paying your bills, you are seeking security because that's what the money would imply. The money implies that you are secure. That's exactly what it implies. So when you have the money, that would mean you are secure. You pay your bills. Your place of abode is not threatened by repossession. Do you understand? It is security that money implies. So, step one, what do you want to be? I want to be secure. That's what I want to be, right? So, step two, begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were secure. Now, what would you be doing naturally if you were secure and you were not worried about food, you were not worried about bills and paying them? What would you be doing? Because you would be doing something, because that's how you would know that you were secure, because secure people behave in a particular fashion. So what would your particular fashion of behavior be? What would you be doing? Well, what would you be doing? You'd be going to the store to get what you want. You'd be paying, listen, you wouldn't be paying your bills every month. You know what you'd be doing? You would have them set up on automatic payment. Well, you're secure, aren't you? So you know the money is there, so you just set it up in such a fashion that it's just a recurring payment. Set it and forget it. That's what security would do for you, that feeling of safety. So naturally, you would set up your bills on auto pay. Or what else would you do as a secure person? You would travel, you would take a holiday. What would you do naturally that would imply you had financial security? So you begin to play through all of the scenarios in your mind's eye, and one of them is going to stand out to you. Just one of them will stand out to you because you need to focus on just one of them, right? It's quite like if you were going through all the worst case scenarios of, oh my God, here's what could happen if I don't pay this bill. Here's what could happen if I don't pay that bill. See what I'm saying? And the one that stands out to you the most is the one you're going to go with naturally. So that is step 2. Begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were secure. And now you're going to find that one thing because you're going to ruminate on it, aren't you? Because that's what we do naturally. We get one thing in our minds and we just can't let that go. So that's what you would do. And as you're holding on to that, replaying it over and over, a feeling begins to develop within you that matches what you hold to be true about that thing you'd be doing. Naturally, the feeling occurs. That is step 3. Allow yourself to be immersed in that feeling of security. Now, why? Because Neville Goddard says when you get the feeling, persist. Now, he's not telling you to persist in the hope that it is happening. He's telling you to persist in the outcome, which is, you know what? I am secure. Well, if you have the feeling of security, that is where you build. Something happens to you inside your brain when you practice or rehearse the feeling of security. Every time you do that thing in your imagination that you would be doing in reality, that proves to you you're secure, something happens to you in your brain. What happens to you in your brain? Your neurological pathway for security begins to set itself. So the more you practice security, the more secure you become. Because, and it's not willy-nilly, it's not hopeful or wishful thinking. It is exactly the same process as you use to tie your shoes, the exact same process you use to learn how to write. You do the thing over and over and over again so that it becomes so natural to you that you do it on the outside in the real world. So that means when you practice being secure over and over and over again, remember, because you are not pretending, you are rehearsing, and it is in that rehearsal that you set down a neurological pathway in your brain that wires the invisible to the visible. And now, what begins to unfold for you because you've practiced security and you know what it feels like? Because every time I say to you, you do know that you have your bills on auto pay, right? Your natural feeling, because this is what you're rehearsing, reminds you, I do. And all I'm doing, I know I can't see it on the outside yet because I haven't solidified the pathway from the inside to the outside. So I will keep holding that feeling and practicing that feeling of security. Because what I rehearse, I reenact. The seed of security has been planted, and I have no choice but to reap it. Because that is what you know that happens. You don't pretend that it happens. You know that it happens because that is exactly what you've always done in the opposite direction. Oh my God, I don't have enough. And next thing you know, you open your eyes. Oh, look, I don't. Because you've spent that time wiring the neurological pathway to not have enough. That every time you think of money, you have a neurological pathway set down for it. It's not woo woo. It's not anything. It is cold, hard fact. Because it is exactly the same thing you and I do every day. You get up and you tie your shoes. Why? Because you practice the hell out of that. So now the neurological pathway is there. Same for your writing, same for your reading. All of those things are behaviors that we have practiced. And we have a feeling about it. You look at your handwriting and you go, ew, that's so messy. Or you look at your handwriting and you go, that is so tidy. Like, oh my God. You practiced it. And there's a feeling that goes with it. So you didn't have to hope. You didn't have to, like I always say, dance naked in the moonlight. You didn't have to do any of that. You knew what you wanted. Step one. Step two, you experienced in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were. And step three, you allowed that feeling to just take you over. Meaning it was all you thought about, it was all you spoke about, you dreamt about it, you chew your food, and it's at the back of your mind. It consumed you, right? That's what we do naturally. So that is how now opportunities present themselves. You don't have to force an opportunity. It presents an opportunity will present itself, but the opportunity that presents itself must match the mood that you occupy. You reap what you have sown. So the opportunity to reap the harvest always presents itself. And how do you know it presents itself? When you say, oh my God, what a coincidence. So you see how you get more money in the bank? It's not it's the security that you want. Same for the car. What would having that new car imply for you? What would having your own house imply? See, so when people say to you, oh, it's not the house that you want, yes, it is. Of course, it's the house that you want. Of course, it's the car that you want. Of course, it's the money that you want. Yes, it is. But there's the feeling that goes with it. What is that feeling that accompanies it? That it is the feeling that, quote unquote, is invisible. And it has a material expression on the outside. And because you rehearse that feeling, it will bridge the gap between that which is invisible to that which is visible. Neville says there is such a thing as deferred occupancy, which means you started your neurological pathway, but you did not complete it. You gave up partway through and said, meh, this doesn't work. I feel like I'm lying to myself. I'm just pretending. So you abandon your neurological pathway. But if you comprehend, if you grasp, if you understand what you are doing, that your persistent behavior builds a bridge between that which is invisible to that which is visible. If you understand that that's what you're doing, you do know you'll persist, right? Indeed, you shall. And it goes for everything. It goes for trauma. Yeah, you can bridge the gap between the thing that is invisible that torments you to the freedom. Because if you say, oh, I no longer want that, I want this instead, what is this? The freedom from torment. So you want freedom. What would you be doing if you weren't riddled with torment from your trauma? How would you be living your life? The process never changes. You must always know what you want to become. Because it is the seed that when you plant it, it will grow and you will become that which you planted. This, that's the process. You know what you want. And in the knowing of what you want, there is an accompanying feeling. And that accompanying feeling is the invisible. And the thing, the physical thing, is visible. So now you, with your experience and imagination, what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be, that rehearsal that you are doing invisibly is building the bridge between the invisible and then the visible experience. That is what you're doing day in and day out. And as you are doing it, there is a feeling. I got a feeling, right? There's a feeling. Literally, there's a feeling in your body. Whether it is peace, whether it is relief, there's a feeling in your body that you feel. And every time you have that feeling, you know, oh, I'm doing it again. I'm rehearsing again. I'm bridging that gap. Hello. And you persist in it. Remember, the pendulum swings the other way as well. You keep having that same feeling of trepidation, that same feeling of despair. Well, you're bridging the gap between the invisible feeling of despair and the experience on the outside. So you can get to revel in your despair. So now that you know what you're doing, just stay faithful in your persistence. Your job is to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you said you wanted to become. That's your job, because it's the only thing you have control over, where to direct the mood, which is invisible, so you can build the pathway from the invisible to the physical experience. Because now the opportunity comes along and says, oh yeah, what a coincidence. This thing on the inside matches perfectly with the thing on the outside. But Angela, what if it doesn't match? What if the external thing doesn't match? Go back to the invisible thing. Because it does match. It can't not match. So you do what? You revisit the invisible, which is what? The feeling that would imply that you have what you want. the security, the relief. You go back to that and you tweak it a little bit. You remold it and you reshape it and you go, okay, I think that's what I want to feel like now. Okay, that feels good to me now. Okay, let's do it again. And then you go from there and you do the process again. You experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. And the feeling is going to show up. And now it's up to you to say, wait, not quite. Let me go back. Let me go back. It's not quite what I want to feel like. Let me go back. And you tweak it again until invisible matches that feeling. That implies what the visible is. And that is how you immerse yourself in the feeling. And that's how you know you're not pretending. Because the moment the feeling that implies what you want to be feels just right to you, and you persist in it, you know that you are building the bridge between the invisible and the visible. And it is only a matter of what? Persistence until you see it. Well, you're building the pathway for it, so you're going to have to encounter it. And that is cold, hard fact. An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Why false? Because it looks like if it's not real to you because you can't quite see it on the outside. So that's why it feels false. It feels like, oh, that's not possible. But if you persist in it, you will build that neurological pathway in your brain and you will experience on the outside what you have rehearsed experiencing on the inside. That is the process by which we change our lives to create a new day. So now that you know what the process is, and you can use it to deepen your spiritual relationship. Oh, you didn't know? Now you know. But it is a process because you will get there. Every man awakens. Every man awakens. You cannot force your awakening. Plant the seed, the desire. It's there. And you will awaken. But you can't force it. You simply persist. And why can't you force it? Because every vision has its appointed hour. It will ripen. It will flower. If it be long, wait. It will not be late. Habakkuk 2, verse 3. So allow yourself to rest easy. Rest easy because now you know. Now you know what you're doing. As I told you, it's not magic. Yeah, but Ansel, what about that relationship? Same process. What do you want to become? You want to become a wife? You want to become a girlfriend? What do you want to become? Okay, fine. Now, what would that imply? What would it be like if you were in a beautiful relationship, a blissful one? What would that be like? What would it be like For you, not Dr. Ruth and what she says, but what would that relationship be like for you? What would you want from that relationship? Well, begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were in that ideal relationship. Look, this lady came through the till. Oh, God, she was so pretty. She was wearing pink, and she was so she was so pale, but the pink really looked good on her. And of course, the light hits the ring, right? And I said, "Oh, look at you, aren't you sparkly?" I said, "It is lovely." I said, "Did you plan the day yet?" She goes, "Girl, we spent so much money on this ring, we can't even plan the wedding yet." I cracked up. And she laughed, and I said, "But you are a lovely bride, though, you know." And she just held up. She goes, "I know, right? Isn't it? It's like totally gorgeous." And I was like, "Yes, it is." Like, that's her personality. What's yours if you were in your ideal relationship? What would yours be? You see what I'm saying? So then you begin to persist in that feeling of what that would be like in your ideal relationship. Because what are you doing? You're bridging the gap between the invisible and the relationship. You do not give up because you didn't meet anybody. Keep building the bridge. And he will come across that bridge, or she will come across that bridge by way of an opportunity, a chance meeting. Chance, you say, Angela? Yeah, that's what we call it. We call it a chance meeting because we forgot what we planted, huh? And you say, "Oh my God, what a coincidence that I should meet you here. Fancy meeting you in a place like this." I trust that I have prattled on enough today and that you grasp what you need to do. So be like popcorn today, my little chicken. Be like popcorn. Popcorn watches its mommy. This is how popcorn learned to drink water. He saw mommy dip her beak in the water and tilt her head back. So he put his beak in the water. He tilted his head back. And he was like, oh, I could do this. And popcorn practices every day. Mummy showed popcorn how to scratch in the dirt. And so now popcorn scratches everything because that is what we do. We learn and we apply. That is the only way you know that you've done it, is to apply. Apply what you have learned so that if you're not just quite right, you go back to what you see in your mind's eye and you test it out again. And let me tell you something, Linda, I sit here and I can watch these chickens for hours because they're cute, but they do so much. They were playing peekaboo the other day. I looked out and I was like, "Where's popcorn?" Now, they're never far apart, mother and chicken, ever. There's a millimeter of space. Sometimes she steps on him because he's underfoot. That's how close they are, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, "Wait, I don't quite see popcorn." And all of a sudden, I saw his little head peek out from under the mat, right? Because I got these giant mats all over and so he's peeking out. And I giggled and I said, "Are you playing hide and seek with your mama?" Now she was scratching her head. So she put her foot down. She looked at me and she's like, as if she could talk. She says, "He can't hide from me." And she used her foot to pull that mat. And popcorn goes, "Tee!" right? And then he hopped away and he did it again. And I was like, well, look at these two little whippersnappers playing hide and seek. It's the most intriguing thing to watch. He thinks he's playing hide and seek, but what she's teaching him is the art of survival, how to hide from any predator. Naturally, that's what she's teaching him to do. I keep calling him a boy, but I don't know. You can't tell yet. But anywho, the whole point of that story was this: Popcorn watches and imitates what he watches. You and I watch nature and we imitate what she does. Hmm? She says, plant a seed and it will grow. You plant a mental seed and it will become a physical experience. So you and I get to choose the type of seed mentally that we want to plant. And all you do is practice. Listen, that's what life is. Just practice planting seeds based upon the harvest you want. Right? Good. I trust, Lord have mercy, because I have prattled on. So I trust that it makes sense to you. And the only way you'll know if it makes sense is to what now? That's right. Practice. Okay? Popcorn did not go and hide in the corner because he didn't drink water right the first time. He just practiced until he got it right. And they make such beautiful eye contact. And he's like, am I doing it right now, mommy? Am I doing it right now? And then she'll show him again. She will crack that seed with her beak. And he will take it from her mouth. Mm. Practice, y'all. That's what I'll say. Let us take a brief moment to welcome everyone into the space. Hey, Cyber, I see you. And the other person who's there, but they haven't made themselves known in the chat. But I see y'alls in these YouTube streets. Facebook and TikTok, I don't know who's here because they haven't made themselves known. But I see y'alls. Who's on Twitter this morning? Ooh, Twitter is bumping. Hey, Bez. Oh, Symmetric. I haven't seen you in a minute. Hey, girl. Yoda Green. Hello. Do or do not. There's no try. Hey, Yoda. Fan base, who's kicking it with us today? Let me scroll. I gotta get the phone and scroll. We got Miss McQueen. We got Moon. No, I did see Surreal, but I can't see Surreal anymore. KZ is here. Ooh, Afternoon Delight is in the house. We got Ray Ray in the house. We got Michael in the house. Hey, y'all. Anywho, practice. Okay. Practice. Practice. Let me get the chime. I'm telling you all about practicing. I got a wave drum. It's got steel balls on the inside, and you move them around, and it sounds like the ocean. Mine right now just sounds like noise to me because I haven't practiced enough to play it. So I got to keep practicing. But let's play the chime. For those of you who were here early, well, a little bit was singing at the crack of dawn. He sure was. He was. I can't hear Popcorn and Lady yet because they're probably still sleeping on the stairs. They're on the stairs. I know exactly where they are, and they don't move from that spot. So I know where to walk down the stairs, right? So anyway, let me get the chime. And as you hear the chime this morning, Remind yourself that as you practice the invisible, you are bridging the neurological gap between the invisible and the experience in the world. So one does not give up. Ow. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Fanbase. Okay. Go forth into this day and know that it is a new day, and practice. Yes? All right, y'alls. Peace out.